Most people spend a lot of time thinking about their heart. Some think about their brain. A few think about their kidneys. Almost nobody thinks about their liver until something goes seriously wrong. And that is exactly the problem. Because by the time the liver makes itself known in an obvious way, the situation is often far more advanced than it needed to be. Today, we are going to change that. Why your liver deserves more attention after 60. Welcome to Healthy Aging Research. My name is Emily Hart, and this channel is dedicated to giving adults over 55 the kind of clear, practical, evidence informed health guidance that helps you stay ahead of problems, not just react to them. Today's topic is the liver, and I want to start by saying something that might surprise you. Your liver is quietly one of the most hard-working organs in your entire body. While your heart gets the headlines and your lungs get the credit, your liver is running hundreds of essential processes every single hour of every single day, filtering your blood, regulating your blood sugar, processing fats, neutralizing medications and toxins, and producing the proteins your blood needs to clot properly. That is an extraordinary amount of work. And what makes the liver particularly important to understand is this. Unlike most organs, it does not send out loud distress signals in the early stages of trouble. There is no sharp pain, no obvious warning light. The early signs are quiet, easy to dismiss, and very easy to attribute to something else entirely, including simply getting older. That is what this video is about. Not end-stage liver disease, not jaundice or liver failure. What we are covering today are the 7 early signals that your liver may be under strain, the kind of strain that, if caught now, is often completely reversible with the right changes. Let's go through them one by one. What the liver is actually doing for you. Understanding the scale of the job. Before we get into the warning signs, it helps to appreciate just how much the liver does, because it makes the signs far easier to understand when you know what is breaking down. Every drop of blood that leaves your digestive system passes through your liver before it travels anywhere else in the body. Your liver decides how much glucose gets stored and how much enters circulation. It processes the fats you eat and produces the bile your body needs to digest them. It filters out toxins, including alcohol, medications, and the natural waste products of your own metabolism. And it produces the clotting factors that prevent you from bleeding excessively when you are injured. Now imagine what happens when fat begins to accumulate inside the liver cells, which is the earliest stage of what is now the most common liver condition in the world, metabolic fatty liver disease. All of those systems begin to wobble, not dramatically at first, subtly. That is precisely why the 7 signs we are about to cover matter so much. The 7 early warning signs. Sign 1, a fatigue that sleep does not fix. Let's begin here because this is the one most likely to be dismissed outright. This is not the normal tiredness you feel after a full day of activity or a poor night's sleep. This is a background exhaustion that persists even after rest. People describe it as running at half capacity, not unwell exactly, but never quite fully energized either. Here is why the liver is often behind it. One of your liver's central jobs is managing your glycogen stores, the body's short-term energy reserve. When fat accumulates in liver cells, it disrupts the way insulin signals work inside the liver. The result is erratic blood sugar regulation. peaks and dips rather than a steady, reliable energy supply throughout the day. On top of that, early liver strain tends to generate a low level of ongoing inflammation throughout the body. Your immune system is quietly running slightly hot, and that has a real energy cost. The combination of unstable blood sugar and low grade inflammation produces a specific kind of fatigue. It does not have an obvious cause, it does not respond to sleep, and it tends to become the background of everyday life so gradually that many people simply accept it as normal. It is not normal, and it is worth paying attention to. Sign 2, a gradually expanding waistline. This one is about more than appearance, and it is not simply about how much you weigh overall. There are two kinds of body fat. The soft fat just under the skin, which you can pinch, is called subcutaneous fat. The more metabolically significant kind sits deeper inside the abdomen, wrapping around your organs. This is called visceral fat, and it has a direct relationship with your liver. Visceral fat releases fatty acids into a blood vessel that drains directly into the liver. This creates a constant supply of fat being delivered straight into liver tissue, which accelerates the development of fatty liver disease, even in people whose overall body weight looks normal on paper. This is a phenomenon sometimes called TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. It means you can be within a healthy weight range and still carry enough visceral fat to put your liver under significant strain. A more reliable measure than weight alone is your waist to height ratio. As a general guideline, your waist measurement in centimeters should be less than half your height in centimeters. If you are 170 centimeters tall, for example, a waist measurement below 85 centimeters is the target. This is not an arbitrary number. It reflects the threshold at which visceral fat begins to affect how your organs function. If your waistline has been quietly expanding over recent years, even if your weight has not changed dramatically, it is worth discussing with your doctor. Sign 3, mildly raised liver enzymes on a blood test. This sign is one that many people have already encountered and quietly filed away without acting on. If you have had routine blood work done and been told that your liver enzymes are slightly outside the normal range, your doctor may have said something like, "We'll keep an eye on it." And that was the end of the conversation. The enzymes most commonly flagged are ALT, AST, and GGT. ALT, alanine aminotransferase, is the most liver specific of these. It lives inside liver cells, and it only appears in elevated levels in the bloodstream when those cells are under stress or being damaged. A persistently elevated ALT, even at levels still described as borderline, is often the earliest biochemical sign of fatty liver disease. GGT is particularly sensitive to alcohol intake and also rises when there is oxidative stress inside the liver. Here's the key point. These elevations are modest. They are easy to dismiss, but they are not meaningless. If your blood results have ever shown these markers flagged, even mildly, even once, do not simply accept, "Let's monitor it," without asking what the next step looks like. Ask for a repeat test. Ask whether a liver ultrasound is appropriate. Ask what lifestyle changes could bring those numbers down. Early intervention at this stage is genuinely powerful. This is the window where change matters most. Sign 4, a dull ache or pressure under the right rib cage. This one is frequently mistaken for something else: a pulled muscle, digestive bloating, or general abdominal discomfort that comes and goes. Your liver sits tucked beneath the rib cage on the right side of your body. It is surrounded by a fibrous outer covering. When fat begins to accumulate and the liver tissue enlarges, it stretches that covering. And the stretch produces a dull, nonspecific ache or pressure in the upper right area of the abdomen. This is not a sharp pain. It is not sudden or dramatic. It is the kind of persistent, low level discomfort that is easy to live with and easy to explain away. Imagine Robert, age 66. For months, he noticed a vague heaviness on his right side after meals, occasionally a dull ache that he assumed was indigestion. He mentioned it at a routine appointment almost as an afterthought. A blood test and ultrasound later, early fatty liver disease was identified, completely manageable, caught early. On its own, this sensation may be nothing, but if it is persistent, localized to the right upper abdomen, and sitting alongside any of the other signs on this list, it is worth raising with your doctor specifically. Sign 5, blood sugar. That is harder to manage. This is one of the most important connections in this entire video, and it is one that many people never hear explained clearly. Your liver is arguably the most important organ in your body for blood sugar regulation. After a meal, your liver absorbs excess glucose from the bloodstream and stores it. Between meals, when blood sugar drops, the liver releases that stored glucose back into circulation to keep your energy stable. When fat infiltrates liver cells, that regulation begins to break down. The liver becomes resistant to insulin, meaning it keeps releasing glucose into the bloodstream, even when levels are already elevated. This is called inappropriate hepatic glucose output, and it is one of the early steps on the metabolic path toward type 2 diabetes. In practical terms, you might notice your fasting blood sugar, or HbA1c, your 3-month blood sugar average, creeping upward on annual tests. You might feel more fatigued after meals than you used to, or notice stronger sugar cravings as your body tries to compensate for the instability. If your blood sugar numbers have been drifting in the wrong direction, despite your best efforts, your liver is worth examining as part of that picture. Sign 6, changes in appetite or feeling full very quickly. This sign tends to develop gradually, which is exactly why it often gets noticed only in retrospect. Low-grade liver inflammation interferes with the hormonal signals that regulate hunger and fullness, particularly the hormones leptin and ghrelin. When those signals are disrupted, your appetite changes in ways that are hard to pinpoint. An enlarged liver can also physically press against the stomach, creating a genuine mechanical reason for feeling full after only a few bites of a meal. The result might be that meals that used to feel normal now feel like too much, or that breakfast, something you previously enjoyed, no longer appeals, or that your overall interest in food has shifted in a way you cannot quite explain. This is different from simply not being hungry on a particular morning. It is a gradual shift in your baseline relationship with food that tends to become noticeable only when someone asks you to think back 6 months and compare. If this resonates, it is worth mentioning to your doctor alongside your other symptoms. Sign 7, nausea or discomfort. After rich or fatty meals. The final sign on our list today is one that is almost always attributed to something else first: a sensitive stomach, food intolerance, or simply a digestive system that is becoming more particular with age. Here is what is actually happening. Your liver produces bile, which is stored in the gallbladder and released when you eat fat. Bile is what your digestive system uses to break down fatty and rich foods. When the liver is not functioning at its best, that process slows down. Fatty meals do not get processed efficiently. And what follows is that familiar post meal heaviness, bloating, mild nausea, or a general sense of feeling off for an hour or two after eating. Many people live with this for months or years, adjusting their diet around it without ever identifying the liver as a possible factor. On its own, this symptom has many possible explanations. But when it shows up consistently alongside fatigue that does not resolve with rest, a gradually expanding waistline, blood sugar changes, or any of the other signs we have covered today, it stops looking like a simple food sensitivity and starts forming a much clearer metabolic picture. The good news and what to do next. Here is something about the liver that genuinely sets it apart from most other organs. It can recover, especially at this early stage, before anything serious has taken hold. The liver has a remarkable capacity to heal when given the right conditions. Research consistently shows that even modest improvements in lifestyle produce measurable reductions in liver fat. Reducing ultra processed foods, cutting back on alcohol, improving sleep quality, increasing daily fiber intake, which feeds the gut bacteria that directly reduce liver inflammation. Gentle, consistent movement. These are not extreme interventions. They are realistic, sustainable changes that most people over 55 can begin making this week. Let's bring today together. The 7 early signs of liver strain are fatigue that sleep does not fix, a gradually expanding waistline, mildly raised liver enzymes on blood tests, a dull ache under the right rib cage, blood sugar that is drifting upward, changes in appetite or early fullness, and nausea or discomfort after fatty meals. None of these signs on their own are a diagnosis, but if 2, 3, or more of them sound familiar and have been quietly present for some time, your liver may be asking for attention. The earlier you listen, the more options you have. If today's video gave you pause, if one or more of these signs sounded familiar, please do not simply wait to see what happens. Book an appointment with your doctor and ask specifically for liver enzyme levels, fasting glucose, and HbA1c as part of your blood work. A provider who knows your full health history can look at these results in context and guide you on next steps. Before you go, I want to point you to 2 other videos on this channel that connect directly to today's topic. We have a full video on why blood sugar changes after 60 and what to do about them, as well as a video on nighttime urination, which, as we touched on today, can be an early sign of rising blood sugar. Both are linked in the description below. And if this video was useful to you, please subscribe to Healthy Aging Research. Every week, we publish evidence-informed guidance designed specifically for adults over 55. Calm, practical, and grounded in real research. We would also love to hear from you in the comments. Did any of today's 7 signs resonate with your own experience? Your comment may be exactly what someone else in our community needs to read to take that first step. As always, please speak with your doctor before making significant changes to your health routine. A qualified healthcare provider who knows your personal history is your best guide for anything discussed in this video. Thank you for spending this time with us at Healthy Aging Research. Take good care of yourself, and we will see you in the next one.